I would do this 1,000 times over if it meant that we would have that one good case come through and that I could play a small part in, getting, this patient more days added onto their life.
Welcome to another episode of Perfusion Rockstars, episode 12. Today is Friday, December 11th, 2020. We're here today with Alexandra, Alex Hank, Perfusion Rockstar. I'm Adam. This is Todd. And Sam behind the scenes makes everything responsible. He's our director of digital media. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate all of our viewers. We're going to start out by going over a little bit of your CV, your background, and then we're going to ask some pertinent and probing perfusion questions. And then we're going to ask some not so pertinent, but still probing personal questions. And then we're going to finish up with the lightning round. So we're excited to have you here with us, Alex, today. Thanks for your time.
Absolutely. I'm excited to be here.
Great. So Alex started her academic career at High Point University in High Point, North Carolina, where she majored in exercise science with a concentration in health science. There she was on the dean's list, and I assumed you played soccer with your scholarship there. So that's great. Then you went on to get your master's from MUSC in May of 2020 in Charleston, South Carolina at the Medical University of South Carolina. As far as you had a lot of research experience, I see here, you did some work with Joe Sestino and Dave Fitzgerald, some big players there at MUSC and in the academic community. So I'm sure that was great exposure. And if anyone wants to know anything about Del Nido cardioplegia with pediatric patients on bypass,
come at me. I've got a lot of articles for you.
You're the authority. So that's great. And now you're currently practicing as a clinical perfusionist at Emory University, where you started just in June of 2020 in the middle of the pandemic. So we're going to touch on a little bit of that throughout the interview process. And your references were attached, and we know those three people. And so you have some perfusion giants with John and Dave and Craig on the list. So those were exciting to see those names.
Yeah. So cool. All right. Well, so tell us, I know this is pretty recent, tell us about the moment when you decided you wanted to become a perfusionist.
So I found perfusion pretty early on. I actually was on a nursing track. I was going to finish my 4 years and go to an accelerated program. And my sister was a nurse in the CVICU at Mott Children's Hospital. And so she had just asked me, hey, you just want to make sure that this is what you want to do, that you're not just, following in some, footsteps. And so she asked me to shadow her. And when I went in, the baby she was caring for was on ECMO. And so I went home that day and, just started doing some research, came across perfusion. And when I was living in Rochester, Minnesota, was able to get into shadow at the Mayo Clinic. And then from there I went to Duke, and it really took off. I think, the speed physically and cognitively, the efficiency needed by the perfusionist is what really drew me in. And I could see a lot of similarities. I played soccer in college, and the, quick thinking skills, detailed communication were all things that reminded me of when I played in college. So
great.
I applied and got into MUSC's program.
Wonderful. So who was influential in your professional or personal career, and why?
So we just talked about my resume and that I attended MUSC. And honestly, I would have to say that my program directors there, Dr. Dave Fitzgerald and Dr. Joe Sestino, they're just absolutely the epitome of what a rock star perfusionist is. They honestly do it all, whether it's research or training those that, are coming after them. They are always exemplifying what it means to be a caring perfusionist. And honestly, they're everything that I could ever strive to be. And it's truly an honor to learn from such humbled people. So I was very fortunate to learn from them and to be a part of their program.
And it's great that you're one of the few that were there when they were both there, right?
Yeah, we were one of the last classes. Dr. Joe was retiring.
Yeah.
right as we were leaving for
Yeah.
rotations.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's what's helped you become, you're sort of an academic, you're a scientist, and you're an athlete.
Yes.
How I see you as a Perfusion rock star.
Yeah.
They influence that. That's great.
I don't know if I'm still an athlete, but I try to be.
So you talk about those people were what was important to the people that you maybe kind of are trying to emulate. But what does being a perfusionist mean to you?
Honestly, people probably call me a nerd, but it means everything to me. What some people see, are that you're waking up in the middle of the night, you're 0 to 60, in a matter of minutes, rushing to the hospital to be a part of a case that, isn't always promised a great outcome. It's unfortunate, but we see patients at their absolute worst. We dive headfirst into, cases that are very stressful, and sometimes their background stories break your own heart. But honestly, it's important for me to take a step back and understand that, I would do this 1,000 times over if it meant that we would have that one good case come through, and that I could play a small part in, getting, this patient more days added onto their life. So, it's, those patients that absolutely blow your mind in the ICU weeks down the line, they're sitting up, they're extubated. We don't always see that part of perfusion. Just more recently, we've been more active in the ICU with, ECMO patients, but it's nice to, walk by a room and you're like, oh, I think I did that person's case, and they're awake and on the phone. It just absolutely blows your mind. So, while the patients rarely remember, who we are in the operating room, it's pretty simple. I'll always give up a night of sleep to give them the best chance, to see more days with their families.
That's great.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was a good answer.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for doing what you do day in and day out, especially now during the pandemic. I know it's extra challenging. So what are your perfusion superpowers? What would people say Alex's perfusion superpowers are?
So I took a team poll.
Good job.
What they thought my superpower would be, and the conclusion was I'm really good at blowing up cell savers. So I don't know if that's positive or negative, but it actually kind of hurt my feelings.
So did you do that because the reinfusion bag was clamped?
So there was a vivid memory. My first week at Emory, I was working with our chief, John, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay for an extra case. I'm going to show him that, I'm motivated. And it was a Friday night at like 6:30. I had, accidentally unclamped something. So it sent like Del Nido over to the cell saver. So I was like, oh, you know what? It's not even really blood. I'll just clamp it off so that, we don't go through a wash process. So I clamped it off right as John came in and clicked play for start, and it just blew up. I mean, blood was in the vents. We were me, Craig, and John on our hands and knees, scrubbing it out of the vents, off the pump, like nooks and crannies. So I think that's where I got the nickname, or the superpower, from.
Yeah, a little blood goes a long way.
Right? And you still find it weeks after. I walk in that OR and I'm like, get a shiver,
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, so obviously we noticed in your resume you've just recently graduated. So what was it like having recently graduated and maybe even doing clinical rotations during the pandemic?
So my last rotation was at Denver Children's Hospital, and I was canceled about 3 weeks in. And so I actually went home to my family in Colorado and stayed with them and quarantined with them while this was all going on. And then started in June. So I made the move and basically hit the ground running, and it was very fast paced. Some say that the hospital wasn't totally busy, but to me it felt really busy.
Mm-hmm.
But I was really grateful for a team that just guided me. They kept me afloat, we had 5 new grads starting in June. So,
Wow.
It was difficult for such a busy hospital to manage that. So it took some time for everyone to get up to speed, but people were more than willing to help. I think that the hardest thing that, perfusionists are going through is that seeing this virus and what it can do to people has really made you develop like tough skin. It's required me to like step up to the plate and remember how delicate life really is. I would say that I'm a more sensitive perfusionist. I think I'm sometimes overly empathetic, but I definitely think there's a time and place for it, and I've developed tougher skin as time has gone on, now that we're gaining more experience in the ICU, it's hard to believe that 6 months ago I was quarantined in my mom's house. And, now just last week I was, in the ICU with a family, with their patient or with their family member on ECMO from this virus. So traditionally I would, people go into this profession because you aren't engaging with patients all that often. Like your interactions are, good morning, we're going to take great care of you. And then, that's really the last that you speak of them. But now it couldn't be further from the truth. It's honestly, having been a pre-nursing track before, it's everything I could have ever asked for, because it really is like a mix of perfusion and nursing. So I've actually enjoyed the time that we've been able to make connections with families and have more personal relationships with our patients.
Yeah, that's great. What month did you get canceled on your rotation? Was it March or?
In March. A lot of people were canceled before me, and the days were like looming down because we didn't really know what Dr. Fitzgerald was going to do. We ended up switching to all online. Our whole class did, but basically prepared us for boards and kept us clinically up to date. So thankfully, the transition was pretty smooth.
Yeah, great.
Oh, great, yeah.
I know it's hard. I've talked to some perfusionists recently that are close to retirement anyway, but they're leaving the profession because of this sort of PTSD effect from having to care for patients and being so involved continuously with death, unfortunately, and end of care, end of life. So thanks again for what you do. Appreciate it. Where do you see perfusion heading as far as responsibilities go? Maybe some staffing. There's constantly talk about new technology replacing perfusion. What is your understanding or perception, your forecast?
I think that perfusion is only going to get busier. I think that with redos and, we're becoming experts now in hospital transports or for ECMO. And, now that we're starting DCD, that research just ended and we're waiting for approval. ECMO becoming a standard of care now for a variety of things. I think, from HIPEX, there's so many ways you can use your perfusion degree outside of traditionally, cardiac surgery. So I truly think that from here it will only get busier.
Yeah. All right. Thanks.
So that's what we had for perfusion questions. And now we're going to ask you some personal questions. So we do follow on social media a little bit. So some of these, but do you have any personal hobbies?
I play soccer. I just joined a pickup league here. I run and I play in a sand volleyball league here. So I would say sports are my hobby.
Yeah, that's awesome. Are you
still an athlete?
Still playing goalie? Or whatever they need?
Yeah, I'm playing goalie and on the field now. Although being on the field really exposes my fitness level. So
you played in a soccer league.
I'm in a book club. It's more like a wine club, but
nice.
Well, that's fun. You need things to take your mind off the stresses of work and recharge your batteries.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great. So we are on Perfusion Rockstar. So what is your favorite band, music, genre? What do you prefer to listen to?
My friends always make fun of me, but I like songs that you can sing along to, and primarily female artists. So I really love like Lake Street Dive, most female country artist. Taylor Swift got her new album out today. But I would say Lake Street Dive is probably my most favorite.
Okay.
Have you seen previous interviews where Taylor Swift's name came up during the interview? I don't know if you've seen some of our.
No, I didn't see
We've
that.
asked people about their opinion.
Yeah, we've had different opinions on Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I think she's talented. And I listen to her, and I think she's talented personally. But
yeah, she's not.
She does annoy some people.
But I know she's talented.
Oh, no,
Definitely
Todd.
talented.
I read a joke that Taylor Swift's released more albums than we've received stimulus checks. So, ouch.
Oh boy. Yeah.
So someone hears of your story. They say, you know what? I'm going to write a book about you. What's the name of that biography?
So I also took a poll for this one, and it came back. It's only funny when it happens to someone else. The Cell Saver edition.
I'm sorry, I was laughing. You said it's only funny when it happens to someone else.
The Cell Saver edition,
Okay.
which is very true. I'm sure everyone gets a good laugh out of it, but in the moment,
You're going to be living that down for a long time. I'm sure there's
Oh,
a lot of other really positive things that we could learn about you, but that seems to be coming up
that's what
frequently
stuck.
by your employee. Yeah,
I really made a name here.
yeah, wait till it happens to someone else, right? Then you
Yeah.
can pass the torch.
Exactly. I know. Hopefully, we get some more new grads soon. Make a quick mistake.
Yeah. So what actor would play Alex if they made this biography into a movie?
So I don't watch many movies, and I asked my team,
He took a poll.
and they said Adam Sandler. So I don't know how to take that, but I'm trying to swallow it positively.
He's very talented. I love Adam Sandler movies. He has a lot of great movies.
I'm sure
so.
he'd do you some justice.
Yeah.
Are
I
you?
don't know if he can play soccer, but I guess
He can play basketball.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I definitely can't do that.
Well, awesome. So this is my thing. I don't send them to you. This is a lightning round. We're going to have a little timer. I'm going to fire off some questions at you. You answer as quickly as possible, and then we'll go back through and you can explain. Does that sound good?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Sam's going to start the timer in 3, 2, 1, go.
Man.
What's something you could eat for a week straight?
Chicken Parmesan.
What's the most boring thing ever?
Ooh. Acid-based lectures.
Favorite city in the U.S. besides where you live?
Denver, Colorado.
Favorite day of the week?
Friday.
Getting presents or giving presents?
Giving.
Dark or milk chocolate?
Dark.
Scale of 1 to 10, how good of a driver are you?
-4.
Last song you listened to?
Lake Street Dive, Rich Girl.
All right.
Why don't you do it? Why don't you punch me in the face? Punch me in the face!
That's the end.
I'm from Florida. You had to throw in that driving question.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. All right. Well, thanks. That was pretty quick. Some of those you do need to think about. Yeah. But all right. So something you could eat for a week straight. You said chicken parmesan.
Yes.
Is that just that good?
I'm craving it right now.
Sam likes chicken parmesan. Do you have a favorite restaurant in Atlanta where you get chicken parmesan, or you just make it yourself? Or
I do. Craig recommended it, and he's gonna tell me if he sees this, and I forgot the name.
That's fine. But you like to go out and
Yeah, it's really good. I feel like I could make it, but I haven't tried.
Yeah. Most boring thing ever.
Acid-based lecture. So I have to ask, who taught that class at MUSC?
No.
I just kidding.
It was just long.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I think we had a good time.
And then favorite city in the U.S. besides where you lived?
Denver, Colorado.
So Denver is beautiful. Obviously, it sounds like you grew up there. Or
No, my family all just moved to Colorado though, so they're in Colorado Springs.
okay.
And I did partially my rotation there. So.
Because I ended up going there frequently when I was a sales rep with Soren Levanova. That was the home office there. So did you ever get a chance to go to the facility there in Arvada?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I was only there for a short little bit of time, but I enjoy skiing and hiking, so it was a good spot for me to be in.
You have to get Chelsea or Spinelli or one of those people to take you.
Yeah.
And then favorite day of the week?
Friday.
Yeah.
Friday's nice because then you wake up and it's still Saturday, so you don't have to get ready for work.
Yeah, I agree. Suppose waking up on Saturday after Saturday night and then Sunday, you're like, oh.
Today's my favorite day.
Friday.
And then giving presents or getting presents. I thought with the time of the year, that was a good question.
Yeah, giving, definitely. Sometimes I give a little bit too much, but I have 3 little nieces, and it's hard not to give when they're so easy to buy for.
And now you have a nice job, and you can purchase gifts for them. That's great.
Although my mom's like, you have like 4 Amazon packages coming today. And I was like, don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it.
And then darker milk chocolate.
I think I like dark chocolate. That's a tough one though.
I don't get that.
Well, you got the health thing, dark, but milk tastes better, I think. Well,
but I know people that like dark chocolate more. I understand it.
The dark is like just enough. Like it's just enough.
I feel better eating dark chocolate personally.
Yeah. Oh, and then I'm sorry. I feel like maybe you felt personally attacked, but I asked you how good of a driver you are.
I do feel attacked. I'm from Florida, and I am not a very good driver. I'll admit to it.
Are you just distracted? Are you too busy doing other things?
I'm not distracted. Well, Atlanta's made me an even worse driver.
Oh, Atlanta.
Yeah. Well, so when I first moved here, I was in the South, you let everyone cut in front of you and, they wave and that's that. Well, here, they just keep cutting in front of you. So I was sitting in traffic, like not moving forward. So I had to get a little bit tougher skin and be a more aggressive driver, but I don't think it served me well.
No, that's like me trying to drive through Washington, D.C. It's pretty scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to be very aggressive in big cities like that.
Yeah.
And then last song you listened to?
Rich Girl by Lake Street Dive.
I need to check them out. I'm not sure I recognize
They're
them.
so good.
All right. Maybe my wife and I will sing it together tonight.
Yeah. My roommate's probably like, stop listening to the song on repeat.
Yeah.
It's a good song.
Yeah.
Get used to it.
So that's wonderful. That's all we have. Is there anything else that you would like to share with people that may see this video about yourself that we haven't touched on?
No, not really. Only if you are a student or a potential student and you're seeing this, feel free to reach out to me. I'm sure, they can give you my contact information. I'd be happy to help you in any way that I can or give you advice or, even just tell you how I did it. So it's an amazing profession. I love it every single day of my life. I'm genuinely excited to go to work. So if we can get more people into the profession, I think that's awesome.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you
great.
for sharing that.
So, yeah. Thank you. Keep Perfusion rocking. We'll see you next time.